Hey guys, welcome back to another video. It's me, Mr. Cameraman, and today we're going to be ranking all 7 seasons of DC Legends of Tomorrow. So starting in January, I've been doing these Is It Still Goods for DC Legends Tomorrow. I did it for Flash. I did all 9 seasons and ranked them. I did Arrow. I did all 8 seasons and ranked them. And I've also I'm currently wrapping up my 5 seasons of Gotham and doing them. But here, we're going to be kind of discussing, for the last time, why we're going to be ranking these seasons. I'm going to quickly talk about each one, and then, yeah. So I've been talking about these seasons for a while. I'm just going to give my overall thoughts on Legends as a show. I'll say this show as a whole was good. I think it's the weakest out of the 3 I've seen so far by far. I think it never reached the highs of The Flash. I think the highs of DC Legends were never as good as seasons 1 and 2 of The Flash. And I think also the mid-seasons of Legends were maybe a little better. I think the best seasons of Legends were better than the mid-seasons of Flash, but not by much. I think the worst seasons of The Flash, like season 7 of The Flash, is probably still a little better than the worst seasons of Legends. I think Arrow is probably the best show. No, Gotham's currently the best show. In my opinion, I'm not saying this about what shows I like the best, because if I was doing that, that would be so complicated. But in my opinion, if you were to put the seasons against each other, it would have to be Gotham, then Arrow, then Flash, and Legends. However, I think I like some, like Flash, I've loved for years. I think that probably could go up more so. It's always confusing. But to talk about Legends, we're going to just go through these seasons. In last place, 7th place, is going to be season 6. I think some people are going to be surprised this is put here. I think a lot of people would expect this to be season 4. I have so many issues with this season of Legends. I think this was the main season when I feel like they kind of didn't stick with what worked with Legends. I think they came off of a season that stuck to the idea of Legends so well. And in this season, it was like, okay, what if we throw that all away and kind of just do a crappy season? And that is what this season was. It didn't do anything interesting, in my opinion. The idea of aliens being the villain was cool at first, sure, but they're not an interesting villain, because when they're traveling through time stopping the aliens, sure, it's cool and all, but it's not a very interesting plot, I'll say. I think the aliens aren't a threat, I feel like, most of the time. And I think the fact of the matter is when you're traveling through these time periods, I think it's cool when there's like a historical context to it. And I think that in those earlier seasons when it was Nate, like, helping the history and stuff, and then Gideon and all these history not messing with time, I think that kind of all goes out the window when it's kind of just aliens invading. And I think it kind of takes away from the purpose of the season almost. And there was also a ton of filler in this season as well. Like, they really didn't know what they were doing, I feel. And I wish, like, this season did some more interesting stuff than they ended up doing, I'll say. Because I think this season could have been so much better. Because I also think that the finale with Bishop and stuff, I think it's actually could be a threat of the aliens. But I feel like then they went to the Fountain of Imperium, and it kind of like, everything that they were doing kind of just fell apart very quickly. In next place, 6th place, is going to be Legends Season 7, let's go with. I think this season of Legends had potential to be higher. It just didn't have an interesting premise in the slightest. I think the idea of it all being set in the 1920s could be interesting. In the 1900s, I'll say. But it didn't work. I think the first 5 episodes being in one time period isn't interesting at all. I think by the time you reach episode 5 and you're using this other time machine, I think it's actually cool. I think it has more of a threat of the time machine being destroyed, and it feels like it's very different from every other season of Legends. But I feel like it still isn't that good, because I think the Wave Rider is such a fun set, I think they can do a ton interesting with that being a set for the show. And I also love the characters in all the other seasons except for these later two. I think the team kind of gets destroyed at this point, and I don't love much that this season is doing. I think like season 6, it has an interesting idea, just doesn't execute it well. I think Evil Gideon has the potential to be a cool villain, but they don't do it well. They kind of just have her be an annoying computer. Honestly, her villain was more annoying than interesting. I didn't like her character, not because her character was bad, because it wasn't an interesting villain. I didn't really understand what the purpose of her being the villain was, and it didn't feel like a real antagonist, which I really didn't like. And this season did have some good moments, but I feel like every season does. In next place is going to be season 4 in 5th place. Season 4, I think, originally I actually put lower than season 7. The reason why season 4 becomes higher is very simply because of the cast. I think the cast of this season carries it so much. Not just, I think Flannel Zari already pushes it up so much. I think Nate in this season also is utilized a decent amount. And also Ray. Ray actually has a purpose in this season. Even though I don't love the magical creatures being the villain, and I think at this point it was always like the aberrations or the anachronisms or like anything going wrong or something, I feel like what this season does that I really enjoy is I don't actually love the creatures. I want to make that clear. I don't like the creatures being the villain. But what I actually do very much enjoy is the legend cast almost. I think Mick Rory also. I don't love his character at all pretty much in any of the seasons besides seasons like 1, 2, and 3. But I think in this season, he still has something to do. I think in a lot of these seasons, in this season at least, the characters do things, which I do enjoy because I like that the characters have a reason to be there. I think Mona as well. I could not tell you really much that her character did. I know she had that thing with the werewolf. I didn't love her character, but I think it works better than other things in the show. I think the cast of the season is just trumps the cast of season 7, and it's way more fun to watch. In 4th place is going to be, oh god, this one's tough. Wow, what do I go with here? I think at this point, I kind of have to go with... I don't know what to do here. I like all of these seasons. I'm going to have to go with season 5 here. I do really enjoy this season. I think the idea of the thing I love about this season is that it's bringing into different time periods the villains. So instead of the seasons being about the time period, it's about the villain being introduced to the time period, which I love. I think the Fates are also such a fascinating villain, especially episode 22, which I believe is the episode where the entire world goes weird and they're stuck in the TV. I love that episode. I think this season actually is some of my favorite episodes of Legends of all time. It has the episode where... Yeah, it has that one episode with when they're stuck in the TV. They have another one earlier in the season I remember really enjoying. This season is really solid. It does a lot of interesting things. I think the idea of the Fates are such a good villain. I think Bayrod is so good in this season. I think the idea of his cat, the reason he's in the show is so interesting. I think Zari as well. I think those characters are done well this season. I really enjoy this season because of the decision it makes. And they have so many good episodes where it's just interesting villains, interesting plot. And I really do enjoy a lot that this season does. I think the only reason I put it here is because I don't think it's as strong as the first 3. It just isn't. In next place, in 3rd place, is going to have to be... I have to turn my back on season 1. I love season 1 of Legends. I think that's pretty much carried by Rip Hunter. But I think season 1, I think, sticks to the original premise so well. I will say, I think Legends works better when it goes weird, which is true. But I think this season actually sticks to the drama aspects in an incredible way. Vandal Savage is a terrible villain. I want to make that clear. I do not like Vandal Savage being the villain. But this season does so well to make him a terrifying villain. I don't like Kendra Saunders or I don't like any of the winged people. They suck. But I even don't like I think at this point in the show, we're getting the Legends to work together. And I think in later seasons 2 and 3, I think the reason why they're higher is because we don't have to go through that phase again. We're getting, I think the cast in that season also, we're getting season 3, we have Nate and Zari, and season 2, we have Nate. And I think at this season, they're not doing as much of the weird. And yet, I think Rip Hunter really is such a great villain. Because I love that his character is able to kind of be the serious guy who runs the team. And yet, I also love the conflict in between the team members. It feels realistic. It feels interesting. And I love how the team, by the end of it, all, like, that one scene at the end of episode 15 when Snart dies is so good. Because they're all fighting over who's going to die and stuff. And I don't think episode 16 is that good. I don't. But I think everything prior to it is done so well that it kind of vetoes the end of it almost. Like, it kind of makes everything else... Like, it kind of makes episode 16 not matter. I do like a lot this season does. I'm just going to end it there. This season's good. In second place, it's going to be season 3. I really enjoy this season of Legends. The only reason it's lower than season 2 is because of the villains. But I think this season's very good. I think this is I believe the season with Nora Dark and... Yes, it is. This is the Nora Dark and Damien Dark villain duo with... this is Mollis, I think. Love this season. I think the idea of the totems coming in with Amaya, I think. I can't even remember her character. But I actually really enjoy her character coming in this. She was really good in the last season. And I think she's so much better on the Legends and with the totems becoming a plot. This is when we get Zari, which is always good. And I think this is when we also get the team to really shine. I think I was about to say the TVA. The Time Bureau is a very good set and idea of a villainous plot. I don't think they're that good in the season. I don't love them. And I think Rip is kind of unnecessary at this point. But I really like the idea of Ava kind of being like, the Legends are bad, and Rip being like, the Legends are bad, sure, but they sometimes are needed. And I think once you get to episode 18, I think throughout the entire season, what I love is how it shows how the Legends may not be the most efficient, but they get the job done. And how the Legends can become the group that they are. And I think also the season's the longest, it's 18 episodes. It really takes its time to do just some really fun things. In this season, we also lose Firestorm. But I think when they are in the show, it's done... I will say I don't love them in this season. But I think their ending scenes are so good because I love Crisis on Earth X. I've said that 10,000 times. And I just think this is just an incredible season. I really like it. And in first place is going to be season 2. I think the Legion of Doom is such a good villain trio. I love Malcolm Merlin, Damien Dark, and Reverse Flash being the main villains of it. I like at this point in the show how it's kind of just the B character. It's kind of like the side. It's a spin-off show from Arrow, basically. And it's really obvious. Like, in episode 16, it's pretty much just the Arrow world, but they're kind of in charge. And I just kind of find it fun how the show isn't even trying to hide the fact that it's just like the Arrow spin-off show. But I don't even care. Because this show is still so well crafted I just really like this. I think this is when the show finds itself almost. I think the episodes when Rip is the Hollywood director and he's directing Legends of Tomorrow, and how the Legion's after him. I love all that. I love the episode that's focusing on the Legion of Doom. I think the motivations for the Legion of Doom. I like the episode when they're on the moon and how they have to work together. I think this season doesn't really have a single weak episode. I didn't love the first episode, I don't think, or the second one. We also get Nate in this season when he finally has an important role to play, I feel. Overall, I just feel like this season is very strong. Especially episode, the finale of this season, also very good. I think the staff that they're going for is, I just love everything that this season does. It's just done brilliantly. And I love, as I said in many videos before, I think Damien Dark is a Legends villain, not a Arrow villain. And I love that they make the transition to bring him into this show and just make him an incredible character. Because I think he actually really shines as a character in Arrow. And I love in Legends, I mean. And I just love this season. I think this season's brilliant. And yeah, I think that's all I have to say. This show is good. I do suggest it. Just stop at season 5 though. That's all I have to say. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye guys.